Hey ladies and gentlemen, how are you today? My name is Chris, personal trainer and nutrition coach in downtown Manhattan, and today I want to talk to you guys about intermittent fasting for weight loss, but in particular I want to talk about the physiology behind it. What exactly is taking place in the body as we're going throughout this process, alright? So you guys have noticed that if you watched any of my previous videos, you guys know that I've been doing this intermittent fasting from November 1st to January 1st, alright? So just to give you guys a little bit of an update, today is actually Saturday the 23rd, 2 days after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was amazing. When I first started this journey, I was about at 184. On November 16th, I actually weighed in at 176.9. I just weighed myself not too long ago, and I'm actually at 177. I'm going to attribute some of that to water weight, especially since I had about 4 or 5 meals. So some of it may be a little bit fat as well, though, but I'm at 177 right now, all right? So I'm still down, 7 pounds, which is still good over 3 weeks, all right? Next week, on December 1st, I'll actually be giving you guys some photos, just so that way you can do a comparison of November 1st to December 1st, all right? So also, if you've watched any of my previous videos, we've gone over some of the benefits of intermittent fasting, weight loss being the number one that people go after, reduced inflammation. Anytime we give our bodies that break, or that our digestive systems a break, you will also notice some reduced inflammation, all right? Increased mental clarity is another benefit of intermittent fasting as well. Anytime we go through our fasting periods, whether it's 14 hours, 16 hours, or 18 hours, what we will notice is an improved level of focus. Our ability to focus in on any one activity will be heightened, okay? Decreased risk of diabetes, all right? So for individuals who have gone to the doctor and the doctor alerts you that you are pre-diabetic, there's way too much, your blood sugar levels are high, there's way too much floating around in the blood and not necessarily making it into the cells. Intermittent fasting, there have been several studies that prove that intermittent fasting will actually help you out with that and bring you out of that pre-diabetic state, all right? I was actually just reading an article on Jason Fung, who is a doctor, and he actually has some patients who he has cured from type 2 diabetes. Okay. Last but not least, we have autophagy. Autophagy is just cellular repair or cellular rejuvenation. And as I have listed over here, this is a natural process that occurs throughout the body. Sometimes when we go throughout our lives and we go through our physical activity, so forth, our cells start to break down, and parts of the cell aren't necessarily working like they need to help bring in nutrients and store them, so forth. Okay. So some ways to try to speed up this process is exercise. Fasting doesn't necessarily need to be intermittent fasting, but just fasting in general, and then reducing your carbohydrate intake and pretty much bringing you into what we call like a ketogenic state, all right, or ketosis, if some of you guys have heard that word before, all right? So first things first, I want to talk about the hormones and how they're affected in the body. The first hormone that we're going to go over is ghrelin. All right, ghrelin is a hunger hormone that's actually produced by the stomach, and what it does is it signals to the brain that I'm hungry, I need to eat. So it's responsible for controlling our appetite, all right? The next hormone that we have on this list is leptin. Leptin is the satiety hormone. So as we start to eat, or our ghrelin levels increase, we start to eat. Leptin is responsible for signaling to the brain as well that I'm no longer hungry, I'm finished, you can put the fork down, all right? So it's responsible for inhibiting hunger, but one of the cool things about leptin is that it's responsible for regulating energy balance. So as we start to consume these nutrients, our body's actually using it for fuel, giving us the energy that we need, but now we need to increase our physical activity levels so that way we can start to burn off some of these calories and make sure that they're getting used for fuel and not necessarily for storage, okay? Or not as much getting stored for storage, all right? Next on the list, we have insulin. Insulin is responsible for taking any of that food that we've consumed, breaking it down and bringing it into the cell so that way we can have the fuel that we need for physical activity or our everyday to-day activities, all right? Insulin is produced by the pancreas, and what tends to happen is individuals who have diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2, if it's type 1, they aren't producing enough insulin, and if it's type 2 diabetes, individuals are actually having trouble bringing, they're being provided with the insulin, but they're having trouble bringing the nutrients into the cells for that fuel, all right? Last but not least, we have growth hormone, all right? Growth hormone is responsible for controlling the body's growth, whether it's muscular, bone density, so forth. Now, growth hormone, or HGH, human growth hormone, is more prevalent in children and adolescents because they're in that developmental stage. this hormone needs to be extremely present. There are instances where they aren't producing it at a high level, but we won't go into that today, all right? So once again, growth hormone is responsible for increasing muscle and decreasing body fat. So for all of my sports fans out there, or people who just have heard about big name athletes, this is one of those, I want to say, performance enhancement drugs that they try to get their hands on. Essentially, this is going to keep them in an anabolic state, a state of growth where they are going to be able to increase their muscle, but then also, most importantly, increase their athletic performance, all right? So, just to give you guys a little bit of a rundown, based off of these two diagrams that I have right here, exactly how these hormones interact with one another, all right? So, when it comes to ghrelin, ghrelin is a learned pattern, all right? So, we typically eat breakfast, let's say around 7 a.m., we'll eat lunch around 12:01, and then we'll eat dinner around 7 p.m. as well. So, based off of the studies that I've read, our ghrelin levels are going to be at its highest right before we eat our meals. But, based off of the studies that I've read, if you actually ignore your ghrelin levels being high, or that appetite or that hunger being at an elevated state for approximately 2 hours, your ghrelin levels will actually start to decrease, and you will be able to stay in that fasted state for a lot longer, all right? But let's just go back to the diagrams, all right? So we've got this increased ghrelin, all right? Let's say it's in the morning, increased ghrelin levels. Our appetite and our hunger have now increased, all right? So we decide, all right, well, let me go eat something. So we eat our food, yum, 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 yum. Perfect, great. All right. So now, insulin levels are going to increase as well, like I said before, to help us bring those nutrients into the cells for fuel and for storage for later use in the muscles as well as in the liver. Okay. As that insulin starts to take those nutrients and store them and use them for fuel, our leptin levels start to get released into the bloodstream and signal to the brain that, all right, I'm satisfied. I no longer want to eat. I don't need any more. The problem occurs, and why the obesity rate is so high in America today, is that people are ignoring this satiety hormone, and they're pretty much eating past their levels of satiety. So let's take Thanksgiving, because that just passed not too long ago. I'm pretty sure you guys have had like 2 or 3 plates back to back, and Mama Love or Grandma, she came out with that sweet potato pie, and you like, I'm gonna make some room for this. I'm not leaving this table without tasting this, and I don't even blame you. But when we do that long enough, we become what we call leptin resistance. Pretty much meaning that when leptin is present in the bloodstream, we are no longer picking it up as that I'm satisfied and I no longer want to eat. All right, which means that we're just going to continue to eat. All right. For this next one, like I said before, if we start to ignore our ghrelin levels being at that elevated state, studies have shown that after 3 days of intermittent fasting, you will start to feel less hungry and your ghrelin levels will start to decrease, all right? These are studies that have been shown, all right? So essentially, when you're going through intermittent fasting, you're skipping a meal. Typically, it's going to be breakfast, all right, for most individuals. So you will experience less hunger at breakfast time, which means that you'll be able to stay in that fasted state for a lot longer. If you're in that fasted state for a lot longer and you aren't consuming anything, that means that there is no insulin present in the bloodstream to break down nutrients, because there are no nutrients. So the body needs to tap into some kind of source in order to provide us with the energy that we need. Typically, we tap into our fat stores, all right? Some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to intermittent fasting is that they'll go through their 16 or their 18-hour window of fasting, but when they break their fast, they aren't consuming enough calories to kind of keep this system rolling, all right? So now their body is signaling that, all right, cool, well, now I'm starving, I'm in a famine, I don't know exactly when I'm going to get enough nutrients to keep this process going, all right? So that way you can't enjoy those benefits. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight and what the body wants to hold on to, I've listed the 3 macronutrients down here. Protein, for 1 gram of protein, is going to give you 4 calories worth of energy. 1 gram of carbohydrates is also going to give you 1 gram of carbohydrates is going to give you 4 calories of energy as well. And then we got this big one over here, fats, all right? 1 gram of fat is going to give you 9 calories of energy, all right? So if you're starving your body and you aren't giving it enough nutrients or calories that it needs to keep this intermittent fasting process going, it's going to want to hold on to one of those. And of the 3, fat is going to give you twice the amount of energy per gram. So of course your body says, all right, well, since you're not going to feed me enough calories, I'm going to just hold on to whatever it is that you do give me and whatever it is that I currently have in the body to make sure that when we go through these periods of starvation, I'm actually going to be able to give you the energy that you need to do these activities that you want me to do. So that's one of the biggest mistakes. When you guys break your fast, you need to make sure that you're consuming enough calories. Anything over about 1,300, 1,500 calories, based off of my research, is going to keep you in that state. All right, anything less than 1,200 calories is signaled as starvation. All right, so we've gone over the benefits, we've gone over the hormones. You guys have taken a look at my beautiful diagrams right here, and you know, like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down in the box below, or you guys can just shoot me an email. All right.
Yeah. Hey, babe, you my all the deal, bro. You my babe, you my gift, you my all the deal, bro. You get dick, you get gifts, you get all the deal, bro. Stay down, all the deal, bro. I'm in lust, I'm in love, I'm in all the deal, bro. You my babe, you my gift, you my all the deal, bro. Never bought, plus the drugs, yeah, all the deal, bro. Stay down, all the deal, bro. And fuck a side bitch, girl, you really love.
Stay down like drinking. Save me them news when you miss a kid. They can't make me cheat on you. Ain't nothing you can do to make me beat on you. When I get home, can I eat on you? I'm through late night, I put D on you. Box so good, she legendary. Crush little mama unnecessary. Got a nigga hard like February. What we got ain't monetary. She my independent girl.